pretty fascinating. I want to put this in perspective. It is the largest trade deal that either side has ever signed and represents a quarter of all global economic output. In scale and ambition, this is impressive.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. It's very nice to be with you. It's a very impressive deal in terms of the importance of the size of the economies, the second economy of the world, the European Union, with India, the fourth one. It's also very important when you look at the evolutions and the gaps that are being filled. The size of the decrease in terms of tariffs are very important over a series of key products. The automotive industry will be very important for Germany, but also a series of luxury items and wines and spirits and so on that actually will open the gates of the Indian market for the European Union. On the other side, India is actually gaining also from a series of partnership with European companies in key sectors, also the defense sectors, infrastructure, where India will benefit from the knowledge from the European Union and make some leapfrog advancement into the quality of its services and its companies. So it's very interesting to see that while the world has been dominated by a narrative of tariffs and protectionism, you've seen two key economies that are very complementary in terms of their different products and have also a history working together, sign a trade agreement of this magnitude, and that will have some key geopolitical imports.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into these immediate winners. You talked about the automotive industry for the EU, obviously Germany, which has really kind of struggled somewhat significantly, especially over this past year, and also the defense industry for India. Why is this so important right now? Because those countries are trying to find outlets for their products and trying to find a way to breathe some new life into their respective economies.
It is the case, but it's also building on some key advancement in bilateral relationship between France and India, and also in the case of Germany that diversified its traditional partners when China was so important. India has also increased its share of relative partnership with Germany and other countries in the European Union. So it's the result of a process. And I think here you could really see a series of joint cross-partnership, joint ventures that were being built in a series of different sectors. Some partnership that will be built on really a complementarity of relative terms of trade and qualified but still affordable workforce in India compared to a very high level of standards, of environmental standards that India will thrive to achieve also in its strategy to acquire better technology. The defense sector is obviously one of importance when you're looking at some geopolitical ramifications of this relation with China, diversification from the US. But the economic elements and the potential openness for both economies is very important in magnitude.
Yeah, and we can't talk about global trade without talking about the tension, the tariff threats coming from the United States that have really been characterizing global trade. What does this deal show us, and how does this agreement really affect global trade flows?
Well, you have to take a few steps back and just looking at, as recently as a couple of weeks ago, there was the consolidation of the agreement between Mercosur and the European Union. The European Union is doing the same thing with India, learning also from its mistake of the process with Mercosur, because it actually has isolated a few sectors in the agro-industry sector specifically to make sure that the agreement will move forward quite easily into the ratification. But that reinforces an avenues of further economic integration of key economies working together, as opposed to protectionism, the other road that has been reinforced by Trump administration, others. Right. And that has some limited foresight in terms of being able to create additional markets and identify the key technologies for the future. We're going to see in a variety, as I said, duplication of this agreement between India and the European Union in other sectors, such as the artificial intelligence. President Macron is going to India in 3 weeks on that specific topics, and so it's really an opening of new partnership between two actors that do share a series of common ideals, and definitely a vision that trade and partnership is the way to move forward in a geopolitically complex world.
Remi, history has shown that the Trump administration really does not react well when either the president doesn't get his way, doesn't get what he wants, or other nations work around him. We've seen them lash out Canada, Mexico, the list goes on and on and on. What kind of fallout do you expect to see from this? Because the U.S. is really on the outside looking in at all these trade agreements being signed globally.
I mean, definitely, this will not be a news that will be welcome in the White House. But history has also shown that the way to actually face the Trump administration is to build new partnership and be unified. The answers to the surge over Greenland was met by a unified European Union on those topics. You've seen some more recent partnership between China and Canada that allowed Canada to stand up, stronger to the American administration. Countries that did well in recent past, such as Brazil, were able to rely on very strong domestic economics as alternative to this international trade with the United States, and therefore lowering the impact of tariffs as a potential weapon. And this is exactly what the European Union is doing by diversifying and multiplying its national partner. It actually strengthened its hands in negotiation towards the Trump administration, which is obviously not something that the Trump administration will see of a keen eye.
Remi Piet, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for your insight.